Hello, welcome to more yoga with me, Emily. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you are doing well and ready to do some yoga. I don't know about you, but the recent snow in Vancouver has me feeling tight in ways that I don't usually feel tight, just from not being used to shoveling or sledding and going off bumps and crashing and all of that sort of thing. So I'm going to get into the upper back a little bit today with stuff like eagle, and yeah, a little bit of balancing should be good. Let's start lying down. If you're comfortable there, of course. If not, you're welcome to stay seated or lie down on your side or in a child's pose instead. And then take your time just finding a nice position on the mat for you, whether your legs are extended or your knees could be bent. I'm going to take my feet mat width apart and let my knees hang in toward each other, and that becomes a really sort of comfortable position where I don't have to use any muscular action to keep my knees from wobbling from one side to the other. You might gently rest your palms on your belly if you wish. That can be a sort of cozy place to be, or maybe you have your arms out by your side. If so, a little loop of your shoulder blades onto your back, just to open up through your heart, through your shoulders. And for a few breaths, take a deep inhale through your nose and exhale, sigh your breath away. Couple more. Continue breathing however you need to. It could be in and out through your nose or your mouth. And really start to draw your focus to your breath. So there may be distractions in the room or the building that you're in. There may be sounds or smells or vibrations even on the floor. And can you just let all of those things sort of fade into the background? So that for a few moments, all that matters right now is your breath. And if your thoughts start to peek in, acknowledge them without judgment. And try to let them go. And just bring your focus back to your breath. And last moment here. And then slowly start to bring a little movement back, a little bit of life back into your body. It could be a wiggle, it could be big sort of morning yawning stretches. If you are not on your back, meet us there, or meet me there, I guess. And then draw your knees into your chest and take a little rock from side to side. It might feel really nice getting this kind of rolling, roly-poly movement. Maybe you start to take circles with your thigh bones here and your hip sockets. Your knees could go the same direction as each other, or maybe they go in opposite directions, like out to the side, forward, and then back through the center. If you're drawing circles, make sure that you go both directions, so both rotations. And then a little kick or extend through the legs, a little shake out. And then bring your feet to the floor, about hip width apart, parallel-ish, close enough into your bum that you can tickle your heels with your fingertips. So setting up for a bridge pose, take a little loop of your shoulder blades onto your back, just so the heart opens up a little bit more. Already your thoracic spine, the upper spine, is in a little bit of extra extension here, and that is fine. In fact, is what we're looking for when we go into a bridge pose, is extension, right, through the spine. You might have your palms flat beside you, or maybe you bend your elbows for robot arms, and then press your heels into the floor, especially to inhale, lift the pelvis and the spine up and away, and exhale, slowly lower back down. So a couple more of these on your own time, on your own breath. Just following the movement of the spine, right? Warming it up, right? Using all of the different extensors on the way up, and then on the way down, concentric, eccentric contraction of all of the muscles of the trunk and the spine. Last breath here. And then as you come back down, a little release of the shoulder blades, or take a little windshield wiper of your knees. Okay, and then hug your knees in toward your chest. And then you might stay here. Some of you might start to draw your thighs or knees toward you a little bit more. You could interlace your hands over top of your shins just to get that extra bit of compression on the front of the hips, but you're getting more rounding, more flexion through the low back. Your next option, if you wish, is to gently curl your nose up toward your knees. Take the tension out of your neck and shoulders. Last option, maybe start to press your shins up to the sky, getting a deep rounding through the spine. And then slowly come back down. Bring your hands behind your thighs. If it feels good for you, take a few rocks and rolls up and down your spine. Maybe shoulder blades to sit bones. Maybe you roll to one side instead, and then press yourself up to hands and knees, because that's where we'll meet. So eventually coming to knees underneath hips. Toes can be tucked or untucked. And then hands outer shoulder width apart or wider. Little draw of your belly button to spine. And then inhale, lift your tailbone, hollow through the lower back, broaden through your collarbones into cow pose. Exhale, round through the spine. Tailbone points down. Crown of the head points down. And then inhale to dip your belly into cow. Exhale, round your spine into cat. So a few more of these undulations on your own time, on your own breath. Maybe you start to send your hips back toward your heels a little bit more, finding that release elsewhere through the spine. Maybe you take a little wiggle of the hips from side to side. You can take big barrel rolls through the chest, the shoulders. Essentially, just moving and grooving here, however you need to, however feels best in your body today. And slowly come back to center. A little draw of your belly button to your spine. And then we're going to do a little bit of single knee balancing. So if you want to bring a bit of cushioning or support underneath your left knee, then go ahead and do that. And then step your right leg back behind you. Now the leg can be quite active here with the toes on the floor, or maybe you de-weight that leg, but don't lift so high that you start to dip into the low belly or the low back. When you look back, can you see your toes and flex them, direct them towards the floor a little bit more. Press the low ribs up to the sky. So option to stay here. Maybe you reach the left arm forward and up, thumb to the sky, palm to the right. Really feeling that strength through the core, the front line and the back line of the body. One more breath here. Okay, bring your left hand back to the floor, right toes to the floor, but keep them back. Right leg stays extended. Now kickstand your left foot out to the side a little bit. Bring your left hand forward and in slightly, and then inhale, open out to the right. So a modified side plank on the right hand side. You might keep that foot down. You might de-weight that top leg. You could draw big circles or arching shapes through the sides of the body or through that top arm. For some of you, there might be a grab of that top foot that would feel fantastic here. So just go where you need to go. And then on your exhale, bring that right hand back to the floor. Bring your left shin back into neutral. Now cross your right leg back behind the left. Keep that right leg really active. Walk your upper body forward and also over to the left. So the idea now is you're getting one long line through the right side of the body. You might stay up on your hands here or come down to forearms. I particularly like down on one forearm for support, but then reaching the right fingertips away. So from my right fingertips all the way down to my right heel, getting one long stretch here. Last breath here. Okay, it's a bit wobbly, so mindfully bring your hands back to the floor, press yourself up, hands and knees, little wiggle or shake or cat and cow, and then we'll switch sides. So I'm going to bring that chip foam block underneath my right knee now, and then step the toes of that left leg back. So again, this is a really great place to stay, particularly if you're feeling wobbly or you want to keep it a little bit less active today. Otherwise, reach that left leg back behind you. You want your heel more or less in line with your hips, so not too high, right? You're not dipping through the low back. In fact, press those lower ribs up to the sky. Really plant that left hand. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you reach the right arm up to the sky, palm to the left, right? Thumb to the sky. So getting this cross action through the body. One more breath here. Okay, bring your right hand back to the floor, left toes come to the earth. Kickstand your right foot out to the side a little bit. Right hand comes forward and in slightly. And then open up to the left. So that kickstand leg, you might need to change the angle of it depending how far open you come. And sometimes it can get kind of cramped if it's really quite parallel to the short edge of the mat. So go where you need to go. All right, maybe you draw big circles here. Maybe you de-weight your left leg, a little lifted, belly button to spine. You could take big arches here, puffing up into the side of that, or the left side of the body. Maybe there's the grab of that top foot. It's wobbly. Last couple of breaths, just going where you need to go. Okay, bring your left hand back to the floor. Bring your right shin back to neutral, and then cross the left foot or left leg back behind the right. Walk your upper body forward and also over to the right. So again, you might stay up on your hands or fingertips. Maybe you come down to forearms or one of each. But really reach that left arm away. Reach the left heel away. Super active through that top leg. So you get deep into the low back, upper back, wherever you feel tight today. Okay, slowly come back up, hands and knees. Whoo, a little wiggle or shake here, or cat and cow. Already my spine is feeling much more open now. And then when you're ready, step to the top edge of your mat to come into your standing forward fold. Knees can be deeply bent. Maybe they're straight, but try not to lock them out and certainly don't hyperextend them back. If you want more support today, you could rest your elbows on your knees or your thighs, or maybe you clasp opposite elbows with hands to get some nice traction through your spine here. You could sway a little bit from side to side. Maybe you nod your head yes, and then shake your head no. So your head hangs heavy, neck long. And then play with maybe bending your knees a little bit more, maybe straightening them a little bit more. Just seeing where you get the deepest stretch. However, if your low back is tight, I'd recommend keeping at least a micro bend on your knees. Last couple breaths here. Okay, release your hands or your fingertips, and with your hands to the earth or your shins or blocks, inhale, little partway lift, belly bend to spine. Exhale, let it all go. Couple more on your own time. On your own breath, feeling that strength and lift. And then the release. And then bend your knees with your head heavy, arms heavy. Slowly start to roll up to standing. One vertebra at a time. As slow as you need to go. Till eventually you come all the way up to standing. Maybe a couple loops up and back. Down your shoulders. Woo, shake it out a little bit. Right, some days you roll faster, some days you roll slower. That's all good. If you're still rolling, keep rolling. Okay. Feet hip width apart. Little loop of the shoulder blades onto the back. And inhale your arms wide. As you exhale, sweep your right arm underneath your left. You might grab the backs of the shoulders here. This is one option. Maybe you bring the forearms together. Maybe you go for a little loop of the fingertips into the palm on that left hand for eagle arms. Keep that buoyancy on the knees. Lift the elbows up or a little bit more. This doesn't feel great on my right shoulder, so I'm not going to go for that full eagle bind today. And then lift. Pull the hands away from your face. Unless you're here with elbows, fantastic option. Okay, bend your knees, tuck your tailbone under, round through the spine, really pull your elbows forward. You might stay up high so that you're releasing through the upper back. You might come a little bit lower if you need mid back or even low back. Last couple breaths here, really pulling those elbows forward, rounding through the spine. And then inhale, come all the way up. Ooh, unwind your arms, your wings, shake them out. And right away, let's switch to the opposite side. So inhale the arms wide, exhale, left arm under right this time. So maybe grab the back, the shoulders. Maybe it feels better to do one variation than a different one that you did on the first side, right? It doesn't matter, especially if you're injured, right? Don't do anything that's sore. Lift your elbows up. If your hands are bound, pull the hands away from your forehead. You'll get a little bonus stretch into the back of the neck. Press the chin back slightly. Last couple of breaths here. Okay, bend your knees, tuck your tailbone under, round through the spine. Really pull those elbows forward. Hopefully feeling at least a release between the shoulder blades, if not elsewhere in the back too. Round as far forward as you need to. And then inhale. Oh, come all the way up again. Shake it out. Oh, that feels great. After all that shoveling. Whew, I love it. Okay, feet hip width apart. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Flip your palms skyward. Grab hold of your right wrist with your left hand. Inhale, lift tall. Exhale over to the left. Send your hips to the right. So you might be so far over on that right foot maybe this left foot naturally deweights. For me, this is way more comfortable than keeping the weight in between the feet and really kind of trying to flex over to the left side. But go where you need to go. And then try to scoop that left shoulder, that bottom shoulder underneath. Lift up to the sky, getting lots of extension here. Opening through that top armpit. And then the opposite, tuck the tailbone under, round through the spine, reach over through the top left corner of your mat. And then inhale, back up to center, release the arms, get the blood flow back. And then we'll switch sides. Inhale up to the sky, flip the palms skyward, grab hold of that left wrist, lift tall. Exhale over to the left. I guess it's hips to the left, hands to the right. Again, as gentle or as deep as you need here. Maybe you play with a little bit of balance, picking up that right foot. Okay, scoop that bottom shoulder underneath. Lift the heart up to the sky a little bit more. Think of pulling that left elbow back. And then bend your knees, tuck your tailbone under, round through your spine. And then inhale, back up to the sky, shake it out a little bit. Whew. Yes, this is exactly what I needed today. Hopefully what you needed as well. It's bizarre, right? Usually in a public class, I would go around and ask people what they want. But with these recorded classes, or even the Zoom classes, I have to just sort of teach what I want to do on any given day, especially since I have to demo. Okay, anyway, enough about me. Back to your class. Feet hip width apart, little bend in the knees. Bring your palms into your low back, or indeed to your sacrum, right, to that nice bony bit at the base of the spine. Wrap your elbows, your shoulder blades toward each other. This is a fantastic place to stay. Otherwise, with those knees bent, squeeze the bum a little bit more. Press the hips forward. Lift your heart up to the sky. So really nice counter stretch. After eagle pose, if you have a deeper variation, feel free to maybe interlace your hands and slide your knuckles down the thighs. For me, this just feels really great right here today. Okay, strength through the legs. Inhale, back up all the way forward on your exhale. Standing forward fold. So now the counter stretch for the legs and the hips. You might sway a little bit from side to side. And then fingertips to shins. Inhale, a little partway lift. Exhale, let it go. 2 more. And then bend your knees, plant your hands, come down to your hands and knees, and then shift your hips on one side, swing your legs forward, shake out your legs, maybe take a little windshield wiper of the knees. Let's do one last thing to get into that back line, right? That sort of fascial loop that goes down the outer edge of the spine. So this isn't really like yoga pose, but you know how we were up, or a yoga pose. You know how we were doing this and then flexing and rounding? Similar position, but we're going to use the strength and stability of our legs here. So tuck your right shin in, just so it's out of the way, right? It doesn't have to be like touching the thigh or anything like that. And then bend your left knee quite a bit. Take the right hand to the outer left edge of your left foot, okay? Or the outer edge of the left foot. So bend, right? That knee, and then puff the spine back. So you're getting deep flexion, deep rounding through your spine here. This might be, where you need to be. Maybe you're just holding or embracing your knee, right? Hugging it. If your tightness in your body is elsewhere, then maybe you start to slide that left heel forward a little bit. So this is going to start to send the stretch further down the spine, but still on that right side. You can even bring your left fingertips out to the side or palm and press away so that you get even more puffing, even more rounding through the spine. Some of you I know are going to be right down into that sort of hamstring slash back stretch. But find a place that feels interesting, and we're going to stay here for about 5 more breaths. Okay, gently release that hand, roll yourself up, a couple loops of the shoulders, up, down, and back, and then we'll switch sides. So tuck your left shin out of the way, really deep bend on that right knee. You might not have been watching. One option here is just to hug that knee in and round through the spine, particularly if getting this knee tucked in quite tight is challenging, right? Otherwise, take your left hand to the outer right leg, ankle, or foot, and then really puff through the spine, right? Round through it. So deep flexion on the spine. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you're even feeling it into your neck here. Totally normal. Or at least I'm going to say that it's normal because I'm feeling it. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you explore the stretch somewhere else along the back. So keep rounding through the spine. Maybe you press the right fingertips away from you to get even more puffing through the left side. Right? The further the heel goes, the more you're going to feel the stretch down the back. 5 more breaths. Or so. And then slowly release. Oh, shake it out a little bit. Let's get one last counter stretch before we come down to the floor. So swing your legs in front of you, feet planted, and then bring your fingertips, or your hands rather, behind you, fingertips pointing back. And then you probably need to shift your hips forward here, or walk your hands back, depending where you are on your mat. From here, wrap your shoulder blades, your elbows toward each other. Lift through the heart. Really press the floor away from you with your hands. But lift, lift, lift through the heart. Right? So that imagine your shoulder blades are wrapping toward each other and creating a little platform to lift your heart up even higher. Last couple breaths here. And then gently bend your elbows. Shake out your arms. Maybe tuck your tailbone under and start to curl down, roll down to the floor. You can always use your hands or forearms or just flop back like I did. It's all good. And hug your knees into your chest, little rock from side to side. Let's end with a twist. So take your right arm out to the side. Maybe you shift your hips right a little bit to start with, and then exhale. Lower your knees to the left. As always, take any variation of a twist that you would like to, whether the knees are stacked, or maybe you choose to take a single leg twist, or legs crossed. And as gentle or as deep as you need today. And that's the key part of it, is as you need today, because today is its own day, right? It doesn't matter where you went yesterday or the last time you went into a twist. It doesn't matter where you're going to go next time. Just go where it feels good for today. One more inhale. One sweet exhale. And then come back to center. Reset your pelvis and your spine. Maybe you shift your hips left a little bit. Left arm out to the side. And then lower your knees or your legs to the right. I like the shift of the hips first before going into a twist, because then I don't feel like I'm really reaching for the twist. It just helps stack my hips. Breath slow and sweet. And last breath here. On your inhale, slowly return to center. Reset your spine, your pelvis. If there's anything else you feel like you need before your rest, maybe a happy baby or some sort of spinal flexion or extension, go where you need to go. Otherwise, start to think about where you would like to go for your rest. You could be flat on your back, legs bent or straight in Shavasana. You might rest on your side or in child's pose or a seated meditation. Again, anywhere you need to go today. And then once you've found your pose of rest, for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh, and breath away. Couple more. And then with each exhale, let your body melt a little bit deeper into the earth. Let go of all breath control. Let go of any last muscle gripping or tension, particularly in your face or your jaw. And return to your breath. And thoughts may come and go. And the trick is to acknowledge them, but let them go, let them fade into the background. Stay here longer if you can, 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.